Hey guys, before we get started, I just want to say a few words. Today is November 11th, the 11th hour on the 11th day of the 11th month. Back 100 years ago, the Great War ended, now known as World War I, and this is the day that we celebrate Veterans Day in America. So I want to go ahead and thank, if you're watching this and you are a veteran, I want to thank you so much for your absolutely the commitment to protect our freedoms. It's obviously the biggest price. You're willing to pay your life for our freedom. So thank you so much if you have served or are currently serving, as well as to the family as well. If you're a family member of someone serving, thank you so much, because I know it takes a toll on you as well for your service for this country. It is definitely appreciated. Thank you so very much. What's shaking, Chewy Nation? ChewbaccaLemma here, back with another Madden 19 Ultimate Team video, and today we're going to talk about overalls, how they come up with these overalls, or mostly my opinion on this stuff, and then we're actually going to go in and show you, are these overalls actually legit in-game? We're going to use their in-game formula to see if they're actually legitimately the overall that they're supposed to be. So that should be fun, I hope. This will be a lot of opinion stuff in here. If there's anything that you disagree with or you just want to comment on, leave it down below. There was a lot of contention over this weekend with the new legends, namely 94 overall Bobby Bell. He was released in the game, and a lot of people were saying it does not look like a 94. It's been like this for a while, and it even looks more like this when you see a card like Mr. Bobby Bell. So we're on the game right now, and we're going to go back and we're going to actually put it into the edit player. We're going to see if it comes back as a 94. But let's go ahead and show you the stats. If you haven't seen it yet, it's only worth about 600k. So people are basically saying it's only worth that because of the 500k quick sell. Nobody wants this card, it seems. So why is that the case? Well, we look at it, he's 6'4", which is obviously pretty tall, so you can't really argue with the height, but that doesn't affect overall. He's got 84 speed, which actually isn't that bad. It's actually pretty good for a linebacker, so I'm not even concerned about that. But you start looking at it, and you're like, 88 excel, okay, 84 strength, 91 tackle, okay, he can get secure tackler, that's good enough. Play rec at 93, all right, block shed 85, okay. Power move and finesse move, basically not even close to top tier whatsoever. So you see all these, and we could go through all of them, and you really don't see anything that really stands out to you. What I see is basically average or above average, we'll say, definitely above average, at pretty much most things. So you look at it and you're like, okay, above average there. His zone at 83. You see his man at 81, which is obviously pretty good. His catch in traffic at 72, so he can catch the ball. But what I see is somebody that's really not good at anything. So you want to figure out where he fits in your team. I'm like, okay, so he's 4-3 guy, you could say. Okay, so he's pretty good in 4-3. He's got good zone. But is he better than Nigel? So Nigel Bradham has 85 speed, so you can get up to 86 if you power him up. But he's got the 85 speed, and he also has the 87 zone on him. So you can get that up to 90 rather easily. Can't do that with Bobby Bell. And that 90 is that what you want on it. So is he even better than Nigel? He does have by a couple inches. I'm not so sure he is. Now, I haven't used Bobby Bell, so I can't say specifically if he's getting some crazy animations or anything like that, but it doesn't look like a 94. I don't think there's a single stat over, I think maybe like stamina, maybe like injury or something that are over 94, and I do want to go ahead and talk about that now. Remember, overalls are not based on average. Obviously, it's not an average of 94, nor should it be, in my opinion. If it's an average, that means that once we get to like 99s, let's put it in perspective there. Once you get to a 99, it has to average out to a 99, which basically means you'll have the best cards possible when that gets to that point. And unless they wait till the very end of the year for that to happen, we're gonna not have. I mean, we're gonna get 99s in like like January, February, when we start seeing them, like after the Super Bowl, we see these 99s, and it's like, okay, what's the point of playing? Or we beat the game, and maybe that's fine. But I know EA wants to drag it out as far as they can into the next season, so they're not going to do that. So it's not the average, nor I think it should be. I think that fine, the way they do the progression system, I'm not even complaining about that. But what I am saying is this is not even trying to be a 94. They're not giving him anything, to me, that is really useful. So that's my problem with Bobby Bell. I'm sure you guys didn't really care for it either, but let's go ahead. So you see the stats, you see the attributes. I want to go ahead and go back into create a player, well, edit player back in the main menu and see if he actually comes back as a 94. Because when you see this, you're like, he's probably not a 94. Now I want to say this, we already did it, but I want to say this is the formula they use for franchise is not the same formula they use for MUT. So that is something that they have clarified. I'm not sure why they use different formulas. I'm not really sure why. It doesn't make any sense to me why you would use different ones. Because like the only thing I think that's included in franchise is toughness, and I'm pretty sure that doesn't affect overall anyway. So I'm not really sure why they don't just use the same formula. That's something that I'm just really confused on. But they do use a similar formula, I would imagine. So let's go ahead and look it up because this is all we can do. So we're going to go, I already put him in here. He should be in here. Chiefs, D Ford. I went ahead and made him. This is Bobby Bell. I should have probably changed his name. I changed his number. I just didn't change his name. I made D Ford Bobby Bell. This is Bobby Bell right here. Changed him to number 78. I changed all of his attributes, and he comes back as a 93. You may have seen that. So it's actually pretty close. It's generally a little bit under, like 1 overall. It's pretty much always on or 1 under with their formula. So franchise are using the formula they use right here. It's not like they're misleading us. Like they're using the same formula or close to it, not the same, but very similar to what they use in franchise and what they use on MUT. So I do believe, even though I know a lot of people think they just slap overalls on it, I'm not sure I would go that far because we see their own formula spits out a 93 on this Bobby Bell, D Ford. This Bobby Bell here, he spits out as a 93. He's a 94 on MUT, so it's pretty similar. But this is where we have a problem. So if you look at all the ratings, we put it in there. I even gave him 99 injury, 99 toughness. They don't affect it. I put him down to 0. Injury, you can only get to 11, I think, or whatever. It doesn't change the overall. It's still going to be a 93. So that's something, I guess, just throw in there. But everything else should be Bobby Bell's attributes here. Comes back in 93. This is the problem. And I've heard this. I think I might have seen this, but awareness and play rec. This is the big issue with overalls, and this is my issue with it with EA. Awareness and play rec both very much affect overall. Big time affect overall. So much that it would change. You can change this 93 to an 81 just by switching it to 0. So if I take the 93 down to 0, I know that's a huge change, 93. It will change it by 12 overalls. Here's the kicker. If we're based on what was last year, I don't know if there's been any testing, awareness does not matter unless you're on the O-line. So you can take an attribute like awareness and move it all the way down, which I'll show you. I'm going to move it all the way down to 0. Whoops, I just changed everything. I'm going to do that again. Well, it's not a terrible idea. I was trying to go fast because I want to show you. I don't know if you've seen it. It is a 93 overall. And we're going to take it all the way down to 0. 0 on the awareness. And the same thing with play rec. They both will take it down to an 81 overall. So awareness down to 0. Here we go. Bam. Save it. And it should be an 81 overall card. So we have an 81 overall card and a 93 overall card that play exactly the same. There's no difference. The attribute doesn't matter. So we have a plus 12 overall. Now, if you take awareness out of the game, it's not like, I would say maybe split the difference. So maybe it's more like an 87. But why in the world is awareness affecting overall? That is the way, in my opinion, to fix the overalls. Because if you take awareness out of the game, let's say if awareness just didn't exist. So it will probably take it down by, we'll cut the difference. So let's just say if you don't, awareness just doesn't exist. Because I'm assuming if it's at 50, we'll call that about, even, like and then it might, this is, again, just roughly. Let's just take it out. Let's just say it changes overall by 5. Let's just say it took it down by 5. So awareness gets taken out of the game. It's out of the game. And then instead of being a 93, he's now an 88. Because you're not going to just put it at 0, because then it's negatively affecting his overall. We don't want that. We want to kind of balance it. So I'm not sure if that made sense. It makes sense in my head. Anyway, minus 5. We're at -5. So now we're at a 89 overall. 89 overall. If you asked me what that Bobby Bell's overall was, what would you say? At least based on MUT, you might say 89. That actually doesn't sound bad, and that's basically what it would be if you just removed the awareness element completely. Now, if you put awareness at 0, obviously you put him down to an 81, but if you just remove awareness from the overall calculator, nothing else. There's nothing else that you have to change. And I don't exactly know how the formula works. I don't know why it works like this. If you remember last year, we found out that awareness does not matter besides blocking. That's all it mattered. I think maybe recovering fumbles, perhaps, but pretty much just blocking. Play rec obviously matters on defense. So awareness, play rec, awareness more offense, play rec more defense. So what they did this year, EA, thinking they made them both the same. They're like, well, just make them all the same, and then it doesn't really matter what the awareness and play rec, which is fine. I don't even have a problem with that. But awareness should not affect overall. And if it does, it should not affect it the way it does. And the only rationale EA could give is if they could show us or tell us that this year awareness does matter on defense. Because if it doesn't matter, it shouldn't be affecting overall. Everything else you can point to, excel, speed, break tackle, truck. I mean, you could do a lot of experimenting, elusiveness, all these things you can look at and you could be like, they will actually change the way the player plays. Whether it's when they intercept, like there's something that may change the way the player plays. As far as I know, awareness just doesn't matter. And even if it does in a pick situation and you're trying to find a block, sure, maybe it matters just a little bit, a little tiny bit. So maybe you want to keep it on defense, but shouldn't it just affect the overall by not maybe a point at most from 50 to 99, maybe just a little tiny bit I think that is my thought on why these ratings are so messed up. I get heated about it because I just don't understand why they do it like this. It's very misleading, and it really comes down to the fact that it's not a 94. It's not. It's just the fact that he has high awareness and high play rec. It makes it look like he's much better. It makes him a 94 when he really shouldn't be. If you can have cards that have 90 awareness and play rec or 88 that both, and they're going to be better cards, much better cards, because they're able to up the attributes in other areas because they always put awareness and play rec to be exactly the same. So it makes it where if you're gonna give him high play rec, well, you have to get him high awareness. Well, guess what? We just had to raise his overall by 8 or whatever because of the fact that we want to give him high play rec because the awareness has to come along for the ride. I hope that made sense. I don't know. I'm frustrated. I just wish that maybe there was a little bit more transparency on what all these ratings do, and maybe this will happen in the future, but awareness needs to be resolved. It's affecting the overalls, and there's really no reason right now, like in November, that we should be getting cards like this, in my opinion. We've already had the game out, since the beginning of August. Shouldn't have a 94 overall, look like an 89, and the way to do it, Nick's awareness. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I don't know if I gave you anything that you didn't think about before, but if you have any comments, leave those down below. Thank you guys so much for the support. That's all I got. ChewbaccaLemma, out.